Hi friends, today we are going to go through my favorite beauty products for 2024. We've got a lot to cover, get comfy, and let's get into this video. Let's start off with primers. This year I really enjoyed 3 primers. My base layer all over primer was a little primer I received in PR, and this is the second little bottle I went through. e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. I used both this one and the pink one with niacinamide. I don't really appreciate a difference between the two. They're really lovely for creating a nice tacky base on the skin. When I want smoothing or a little bit of blurring, mostly in the interior portions, I love the One Size Secure the Blur Primer. You need such a small amount of this product, and it just really helps give a nice smoothing effect to the areas that you apply. You can apply it all over, but I find that it really looks its best when you apply it in target areas. And my final primer that I love this year, One Size Secure the Sweat Dry Till Dawn Primer. This is a makeup primer that helps to hold back sweat and shine on the skin. And in the summer when it was really warm, this worked miracles. I have used it a few times, like going to a few like holiday parties, just in like prime areas like the hairline or like the sides of my nose where I might get a little bit more shiny. If you overuse it, sometimes it can make the skin feel a little dry. So if you're someone who's prone to getting really shiny or really sweaty, this is a fabulous primer. Another prep product I use more so under my foundation are liquid glow bases for my face, and I have almost ran out. The Eldridge Seamless Skin Elevated Glow in the shade Pink Moon. I mostly use this on the high points of my cheeks, into my temples. Really love this product, and it gives a nice smoothing lift to the skin thanks to a film former. And then for my neck and my chest, just to do a little color correction and tone evening, I love using the e.l.f. Halo Glow. I mix together shades 0.5 and 1. I have to be careful with my bottle in shade 1 because I don't know what it is, but this one leaks horribly. I haven't had the issue with the other one. Besides the leaking issue, it is a really beautiful sheer level of coverage and glow. They do run slightly more on the warm peachy golden side, but if you're looking to brighten and tone correct, a really lovely formula. Liquid color products. There's been 2 I fell in love with back in the spring, and I have just continued loving them all year long. First one we're going to talk about is the Eldridge Seamless Skin Enhancing Tint. I have the shade T3. It is currently out of stock, and I am running so low on this. I was hoping to get another bottle when I was in the States, but it sold out. So we will make a do, and I will continue using other things in my collection. But the Seamless Skin Tint is so beautiful. Truly an enhancing skin tint. It makes your skin look so delicately perfected. It takes the edge off any type of redness, discolorations. If you have a strong like acne breakout or like dark spot, you will need to go through and add a little bit more coverage, but this is really beautiful. And then when I want more perfected coverage, I love the Eldridge Seamless Skin the foundation, and this is in shade 7. When this foundation originally released, I purchased shade 5 and I didn't love it, but when I was in London back in the early spring, I was shopping in Liberty, London. I was matched to shade 7, and the shade and the color match changed everything for me, and I fell in love with this foundation. It's more of a neutral, leans slightly golden, but I find it takes the edge off my redness and helps to balance my face and my neck together. And this foundation is truly a seamless beauty and joy to apply to the skin. This year, within my own personal journey, I have really fallen in love with color correcting, and I have 3 shades of the Huda Beauty FauxFilter. For any type of beard shadow that I'm trying to cover, I use shade Peach. For the under eyes, I use Cherry Blossom, and then to mix with my concealer just to brighten things up a little bit more and further tone balance, I like Pink Mellow. Concealer, I have 2 shades of the Huda Beauty FauxFilter Soft Matte Concealer, and I have the Tarte Shape Tape Ultra Creamy. In the Huda Beauty FauxFilter, I use shade 1.5 Yogurt Drops. This is my brightening shade, and then I have shade Meringue 2.1 in. This is kind of like my skin tone match. And then in the Tarte Shape Tape Ultra Creamy, I use shade 16 in Fair Light Neutral. This is just a really nice one, and if I'm having like a really easy day and I'm using like a tinted sunscreen, I'll dot this wherever I want a little bit of coverage. It's out with powder, and it's quick and easy. This is nothing like the original Shape Tape. I was not a big fan of the original Tarte Shape shade tape. I've just found it too matte, too heavy. This is beautiful and it lasts on the skin all day. Since the end of autumn, I have been breaking out a little bit more. To cover a stubborn breakout, I really love using the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. I use shade Light 2 Vanilla. This is a very full coverage, more dry concealer. So if you use a teeny tiny bit and just place it where you need it and then blend it out a moment later, it is a beautiful correcting, perfecting concealer. I'm a huge fan of powder foundation and I do really love my Laura Geller Baked Bronze-n-Brighten. My only thing with that is I realize I don't have an ideal shade match. I'm somewhere between porcelain, which is a little too light, too bright, too pink, and then fair, it's too dark, too orange. So if I mix them together, I can get a decent shade, but there's two formulas that I love and I have a great shade match. So this year I was matched to a new shade in the MAC Studio Fix Powder Plus Foundation in C15. This is a really beautiful neutral undertone, and this again does a great job at balancing out the redness of my face and harmonizing with my body skin. This is a tried and true favorite. I now have 4 different shades. The other ones I use for either brightening or bronzing. NC15 is a great tone match for evening out my complexion. The other powder foundation I absolutely love is the One Size Turn Up the Base Versatile Powder Foundation. This is in the shade Fair 3N. Originally I purchased shade Light 1R. That's a little too dark. I use that as a subtle bronzer. Fair 3N is my best skin tone match, and something I like to do is I'll get a little bit of my MAC Studio Fix Powder Plus Foundation and then mix it with this, and then I just swirl them together in my hand. But they look like a perfected, beautiful foundation, and I use these most days, and I tend to save my Eldridge for more special occasions, just because these are more affordable than the Eldridge. But with the way I like to apply powder foundation very thinly and build it up, they look just as great on the skin. These just take a little bit longer for me to build up and finesse on the skin, because with the powder foundation, if you just kind of slap it on, it can look heavy. So it does take a little bit longer to work a powder foundation into the skin to achieve the finish I like. As far as setting powders, my favorite all-over setting powder is the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Setting Powder. I use Cupcake all over my face just to set things down. Under my eyes, I use the shade Sugar Cookie, which is a brightening white. And something I like to do is I like to cut the Huda Beauty powder with this LA Girl Pro Setting Brightening Loose Powder in the shade Soft Pink. I was tempted. I really love this. It does have a little bit of a light reflect and it's quite affordable. I can't find this easily in Canada. When I run out of this, I'm gonna switch over to the Huda Beauty in Cherry Blossom Cake. If you are in the States or anywhere that sells LA Girl and you can find this powder, it is beautiful if you don't mind a little bit of a light reflect. This year for contouring, I have used this little Canmake Tokyo shading powder. This is in the shade 05 and it's a purely gray sculpting powder. I just use a little bit right here on the outer half of my face just to slim down the portion of my lower jaw, and I'll use it to sculpt around my nose and my socket line. I love this, and now here in Toronto we have a little chain of stores called Omomo, and they carry Canmake, so you can get this in person. Or if you're anywhere else that doesn't have a retail location, Yes Style is where I got this one. Powder highlighter, I went back to an old school favorite, MAC Mineralize Skin Finish in the shade Lightscapade. This is a really beautiful golden beige, and it just gives the most subtle lit from within glow to the skin. I've been playing a lot more with more luminous blushes like we'll talk about in just a moment. So for my all over powder highlighter, I wanted something a little bit more subdued, and this is my favorite one that I've used this year that you can easily go out and purchase, as the other ones I've liked are ones that are either discontinued or limited edition. Bronzer, I love my Laura Geller Baked Bronze-n-Brighten. This is the shade Fair. I broke my compact this year, but the bronzer is going strong. I love this for adding warmth to my skin and starting off my eye look, and it's always my lower lash line shade. At least this is my base shade for the lower lash line. I also love the Gucci Soleil bronzer in shade 1, but it has a little bit more pigment, and if I'm in a rush, I find I can sometimes get too heavy-handed with the Gucci, whereas the Laura Geller, it never looks too heavy or muddy on the skin. My favorite liquid blush of the year, and I believe this is the same one I mentioned last year, the Tarte Maneater Blush and Glow Cheek Pump. This is in the shade Pink. I love this so much. It is worth noting, it says it has a 6-month shelf life. I've had this for at least a year and a half at this point, and it still smells fine, it performs fine. You get so much product in here. I do not see, even if this is your only blush, you would go through this in 6 months. I absolutely love this. They brought out new colors, but this original pink shade is still my favorite. I love a powder blush, and I am actually wearing the liquid blush in all 6 of the shades that we're going to talk about. So the first one I used is a Better Than Cheek powder blush from the Korean beauty brand rom&nd. This is in the shade W02 Strawberry Milk. I use this as a little mattifying brightening shade, almost like a transition between a matte highlight and a soft blush. This helps to add a plump smoothing effect right here, and it just helps to soften the transition between brighter under eye powder I use and my blusher. This shade I use it here, and normally I will use 1, 2, sometimes if I'm going crazy, 3 blushers. I never use 6 blushes in one look because it's just too much. But for today, I had all of them in front of me. I'm like, let's play. The next shade I love this year and I used in today's look, Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush in the shade Ethereal Light. Beautiful marble blush, and you have a cool toned baby pink blush swirled with the Ethereal Light Ambient Lighting Setting Powder. So you get a really soft diffused wash of color. I use this right here on the front of the cheek. Moving to the back half of my cheek, I wanted something more cool toned. Cool tones tend to recede, and you can use them to almost contour the face. A shade I fell in love with this year was the Dior Backstage Rosy Glow Blush. This is shade 063 Pink Lilac. I apply this here on the back half of my cheek, and this blush is beautiful. Sometimes purple blushes can just look purple on the skin, but this adds a nice, more purple violet mixed with a little bit of a pink. It's almost like you mix iris purple with like a nice peony pink, and this is the color that you get, and it just gives a nice contoured sculpted flush to the cheek, and that's why I added it to the back half of the cheek. To add a pop to the kind of fatty portion of the cheek, I use the Chanel Jus Contraste blush. This is in shade number 64 Pink Explosion. If you love a nice cool toned pink with a cool silvery sparkle that isn't too sparkly, it won't translate as glitter on the face in the sunlight, this is a beautiful shade. And who doesn't love a Chanel blush? Chanel just has one of my favorite blush formulas for a designer brand. On the opposite end of the pricing spectrum, my favorite affordable blusher, and I mentioned this last year for sure, Essence Pure Nude Baked Blush. My favorite shade, and the shade I have kind of here overlapping some of the other shades we applied, is 07 Cool Coral. I use this shade the most, and it's one of those shades that makes me so happy. Spring, summer, if I'm gonna wear something light and flouncy, I will liberally apply this over top of bronzer, and it's just happiness in a blush. A similar blush color with a little bit more glow, and again, it just makes your skin look fresh and healthy. RMS Redimension Hydra Powder Blush in the shade French Rosé. I also have the shade Bermuda Rose, which is a little bit more of a deeper, richer pink, and I ordered 2 more shades that are currently waiting for me in the States. I love this blush formula so much, and I love that it gives a glow, but it doesn't look metallic on the cheeks. It just gives your skin a nice, bouncy, hydrated glow with a wash of color that you can build from sheer to full-bodied. I had 3 eyeshadow palettes that just really did everything for me throughout the year. The first one we're going to talk about is one I know I mentioned last year, and this is a palette that I was suggested by a subscriber, and I will never stop thanking you because this is such a good palette. Huda Beauty Rose Quartz. This is my palette I use when I want to create a really easy yet impactful going out eyeshadow look. I love this so much. Huda Beauty Rose Quartz is my favorite palette from the year for doing more fun party looks. In the spring and summer when I wanted something warm but pinky, I loved the Decay Blossom palette. This is a little bit warmer. It's more of a neutral leaning warm with a few hints of cool coral pink color story. Decay is a very traditional K-beauty eyeshadow formula. So that means it's like a sheer wash of color. You can build it up to, I would say, medium opacity at most, but it's so easy. And when it's warm and sticky outside, you don't want anything too heavy, because if you sweat or get oily, things start breaking down. You don't want anything that can look patchy. K-Beauty does these sheer formulas so well. Romantic Blossom. I think I said Romantic Love or something, but Romantic Blossom eyeshadow palette. And then tried and true, everyday, no-brainer. What I have on my eyes today, I've mentioned this in several other favorite videos, but my go-to eyeshadow palette is still my Urban Decay Naked 3. If I'm being completely honest, I use mostly from Trick down to here, so the lighter half of the palette. I'll occasionally use the darker ones to add a little bit of contour or liner. I use mostly these, and I always like to use this more rose gold copper shade to define my lower lash line. Then I will go on top with something like Buzz and just add a little bit more of a pinky mauve tone. Urban Decay Naked 3 is such a great everyday eyeshadow palette for someone who likes more of a muted pink look that doesn't go sickly in the eyes. My favorite eyebrow products were the Benefit Precisely Mild Tinted Brow Wax in shade 1 and the e.l.f. Wow Brow in the shade Taupe. Quick, easy, everyday brow gels with a tint. The biggest difference is Wow Brow, the way the wand's cut, it deposits product under the brows, so it helps to fill and tint the brow hair, whereas the Wow Brow from e.l.f. just tints and thickens your brow hairs. Really grown to love the Benefit Bad Gal Bang. I've said this in other videos, it's not the most impactful. It doesn't give me the bang effect I get from the name. It actually turns out to be a really nice, more subtle lash look, and you can really build it up and almost clump it up. I did enjoy this, and as it's dried out, it's gotten better. I purchased this, and I think it's called like Rebel Wine, or the more berry shade. I'm so excited that out. My favorite mascara through the year, I went through 2 tubes. The Maybelline Lash Sensational Sky High in the shade Burgundy Haze was my favorite. If I could find that in store again, I would buy it in a heartbeat. It was so good, and it's drugstore, so it's a lot more affordable than some other mascaras. For eyeliner, my favorite eyeliner, and I went through 2 of these this year. The Sephora Collection 12-Hour Colorful Contour Eyeliners in the shade 33 Love Affair. This is a dark plummy berry shade, and I normally use this tight line, and I'll even use it with an angled brush to start my guideline for any type of flick out I'm going to do. And then to trace over the flick and add some more depth, I love the Too Faced Better Than Sex Easy Glide Waterproof Liquid Liner. This is the shade Chocolate Brown. Really fine nib, and it just deposits product so easily. I am not the most gifted with liquid eyeliner, and this is one of the very few I can create a nice easy wing and not have to fiddle with fixing it up too much. And then for days when I want a quick and easy one and done shadow, I have 2 very similar products. First one is the Lisa Eldridge Liquid Lurex in the shade Bianca, and the other one is the Ulta Beauty Bouncy Eyeshadow. This is my 3rd little compact of this Ulta eyeshadow, and I think it was repackaged and then brought back, so it's no longer called this or it's in this, but you'll see these like little round moussey eyeshadows, and you're looking for the mauve pink shade. It's so beautiful. For lips, I tried to narrow it down, but I struggled because I love lip products, and this year with my journey, with my hair, with my style, I have fallen in love with lip colors. It's the first time in my entire life I feel comfortable wearing more punchy, bright colors, and it just makes me feel so pretty. Finally get the hype on lip color. So let's start off with lip liner. When I want to add something darker to contour and maybe a little bit more on the brownish side, I like the RMS Go Nude Lip Pencil in the shade Morning Dew. I think this shade is described as a rose or like a pink nude, but it's more of like a rosy brown. It's really nice for adding a subtle like the Sabrina Carpenter brown lip liner effect, but it's a lot softer. When I want something more mauvey and slightly more plummy, but deeper than my lip tone, the Lawless Forget the Filler Lip Pencil in the shade Pink Slip. I'm almost done with this pencil, and it's so good. And it isn't the most long-lasting pencil, but it makes the lips look just so full from the viscosity of the formula. When I want a lip pencil that is going to stay on all day long, and it's just a really nice defining shade, Huda Beauty Lip Contour 2.0 in the shade Muted Pink. This is the 2nd one of these I've purchased, and it is a gorgeous, gorgeous formula and color. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I have a tried and true lip pencil. I cannot tell you how many of these I've been through the years. MAC lip pencil in the shade Dervish. It is a pinky mauve with a little bit of a silver pearl, and it just makes it look like your lips but better. MAC's lip pencils are not the creamiest, they're not the most long lasting, but they give you a really good color selection, and it's just a classic formula. So MAC lip pencil and Dervish. To start my lip look, I really love starting with a lip stain. And the stain I have on my lips today is from Decay, and this is in the shade number 10. I believe it's called Pink Shoe. It's a beautiful, more corally pink. When I want something a little bit more on the pink lavender side, I really love the rom&nd Juicy Lasting Tint. This is in the shade number 32, Bearberry Smoothie. Actually, let me swatch these. Decay, it's more of a neutral pink coral. rom&nd Juicy Lasting Tint in number 32, Bearberry Smoothie. Maybe a little bit more of a pink lavender. Then, when I want more of like a mauve My Lips but better, Peri Para Ink Mood Glowy Tint in the shade number 13, and it has a cute little bow on it. This is part of the Peri Para Heritage collection, and this is gonna be a little bit more of like a rosy Your Lips but better, almost like a bitten lip flush. And for most of the year, this lived in my bag as like my work lip color because it's just so easy. And all three of these formulas, once they go on the lips and dry down, they do not move. They leave like a little stain on the back of the hand. This year I had 3 lipsticks that just really did it for me. My kind of everyday more nude mauve lip color is the Dior Tie and Dior lipstick. Just a subtle My Lips but better pinky mauve nude. When I want something more bright, more pink, I have wanted this for so long, and I finally purchased it again on that trip to London, the Lisa Eldridge Rosy Shell. A little bit more of a slightly more neutral, brighter pink. So beautiful. Also incredible on the lips and cheeks. And a lot of days when I would use my Decay eyeshadow palette, I would use this on lips and cheeks just to make things even more simple. I've always loved the idea of a red lipstick, but reds are very scary to me. So I found a shade this year from the MAC Lustreglass lipsticks. This is in the shade 547, Pigment of Your Imagination. It's more of a slightly coral pink, but on my lips, it acts like more of a soft red, and it is the shade I have on my lips. It makes me so happy. For lip gloss, I had 3 formulas that just really made me neglect the rest of my collection this year. The first one is the Peri Para lip gloss. This is the shade 08. Really nice, more coral pink. I really had a moment with coral pinks this year. I really dove into my light summer seasonal color palette and playing with some of these more difficult colors like orange and corals that I normally struggle with. I really ran for them because I've always loved them. I just can never find the right shades for me, and now that I've had more guidance as to finding the perfect corals and peaches for me, I've been just so happy. And here is the Peri Para gloss. Next, I have the rom&nd Lasting Gloss in the shade 01, Peony Belle. This gives a really wet, glossy look, and this is going to be a little bit more of a muted berry pink. And then when I want color and I want a nice plump that makes the lips look really luscious, Lawless Forget the Filler. This is in the shade Cherry Vanilla. This is a beautiful sheer pink red, and it's almost just like a little red hard candy has melted, and it just gives the lips the most beautiful sheen. And then on days when I just want a little bit of shine but I don't want a gloss per se, I've fallen in love all over again with the Dior Lip Glow Oil. This is in the shade 063, Pink Lilac. So that concludes the makeup products. I do have a few fragrances I want to share with you because for me, getting together, doing the makeup, putting that outfit on, it's not completed until I have the perfect fragrance. And this year, I definitely stuck with my signature florals, but we tiptoed into those more vanillic gourmand scents. So let's start off with the scent that just captured my soul and essence last autumn winter, and it continued on to this winter. Narciso Rodriguez for her Musk Nude. This is a warm, creamy sandalwood musk scent. It is like taking your favorite pajamas out of the wash and putting them on after you've had a nice, warm, cozy bubble bath, and you were using one of those really yummy Philosophy fresh cream bubble baths, and you just have a little bit of that warm kind of sweet scent lingering, and it mixes with this warm, creamy, cottony essence from the pajamas. So good. So comforting. Much like I mentioned last year, when I don't know what to wear, or I just want something that makes me feel happy, I love my Ariana Grande Ari fragrance. This is my third bottle I've purchased. I do have another full bottle. I don't know where I left it. I left it somewhere, so I had to buy another bottle, but that bottle was more than halfway finished, and I got this bottle on a great price. I believe I paid around $40 for this large size, and this is 100 ml, and it's just fun, sweet, fruity perfume that just makes me so happy. And I've had a few people buy it on my recommendation, and they love it as much as I do. So I just love that some of you love this as much as I do. It's so good. Earlier this year, I had smelled one of the Miss Dior fragrances and then fell in love only to find out it was discontinued. That is Miss Dior Absolutely Blooming. I was very lucky, and I found this on sale in a duty free. It is so good. It is heavier than most of the other Miss Diors. It's definitely more of a cool weather Miss Dior because it has the signature florals and fruits of the Miss Dior fragrance brand, but it's more jammy, it's more sweet, it's more syrupy. It's really nice. And even now that we're into winter proper, I have been layering this over some of my more vanilla forward body lotions, and it is just so good. This year I did have the privilege of testing out a lot of really beautiful niche fragrances. I got some when I was on my trip to London. There was perfume I smelled when I was in London. It lingered in my mind, and I didn't purchase this. I bought some other things, and I ended up purchasing it later on in the year. Thankfully, I got it on sale, but it's so good. Xerjoff Dama Bianca. This is a warm, fruity vanilla. It's not a vanilla that is heavy and sickly and sweet. This is definitely more of a tropical flower mixed with like a pina colada vanilla. It's light, it's refreshing, it's creamy, it's sophisticated. It is like walking through an all-inclusive resort in a nice, creamy, off-white matching set with really comfy sandals, a big floppy hat, luminous skin, and a coral lip gloss. It is so good, and it just makes me so happy. Something that doesn't really fall into makeup or skincare, but it's part of beauty and it's part of my everyday life. And honestly, if I think too much about it, it will bring me to tears because I cannot tell you how much it impacted me this year. And that is wigs. Before I started my journey, I have struggled with androgenetic hair loss for years. I've done PRP, and let me just tell you, PRP works for some people. I don't feel like it was one of the people it worked for. It gave me more downy hair. I did it for almost 2 consecutive years, and it hurts. It really, really hurts. It's expensive, and I just wasn't getting those results. So then I was talking to my husband, and I'm just like, I don't know, I want to try wigs. So we ended up making an appointment at the Chacal Boutique here in Oakville, Ontario. For me, it's like just over an hour to get there. So worth it. Absolutely worth it. My first trip there, I was matched to the wig that I feel like would become my wig soulmate. This is my Belle Tress Montecito wig in the shade Raw Sugar Blonde. It's a nice multi-dimensional blonde. You have mixes of a neutral blonde with a more ashy light brown or dark ash blonde root. But in the blonde, you have mix of a cool platinum highlight and a warm golden highlight. This color is like the color that I want my biological hair. This color has allowed me to feel comfortable with stop coloring my hair like I used to. So I might still tone it as it grows out, but I don't feel the need to get it bleached like I used to because now I have a beautiful wig that already has my ideal color. So that's also saving me more money. So now I'm not only saving on not doing PRP treatments, but I'm also saving money from not having to get it colored. So those two things alone, like one PRP treatment, is already more than the cost of a wig. So that's phenomenal. This one is also from Belle Tress. This is the same color, Raw Sugar Blonde, but this is in the shade Cambridge. And I have to mention, I don't know how I like this. It's definitely longer. It's very prone to getting tangled, and it has a curtain bang that if I don't pin it and finesse it, I love the way it looks, but it gets on my nerves. Montecito is my favorite. Montecito measures in at about 14 inches. I did trim it. I cut it into an Italian bob with a very subtle graduation and very, very, very thin or fine layering, mostly starting from jawline down. I didn't want to take too much length off it. I just want to add a little bit of body so that when I curled it, it was more dimensional. I haven't trimmed this yet, and trimming wigs is a lot different from trimming human hair that I learned in hair school. Totally different ball fill, and I'm very, very conservative because if you cut it, it's not going to grow back. I hope you have had an incredible year. Thank you for sitting here, spending your time with me each and every week. The last few weeks I've had some technical difficulties. I think I figured out what's going on. Hopefully this video goes up with no issues, and I just can't thank you enough for spending your time with me today. If you've tried any of these products, let me know your experiences. Let me know your favorite beauty product from 2024. I will see you all in the new year. And until we see each other again, take care of yourself wherever it is you're in the world. Have a great evening, y'all. Bye.